Hello Crafty friends, I'm Lynn from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today for another YouTube video. Today I am sharing a new card with the new release by Crafty Meraki, and there's actually an Instagram hop going on where you can win a giveaway. I think it's a gift card. I will give you more information during this video and in the description down below. Now, all the products I am using, I will list in the description, but you can also follow along and find them in the top left corner of this video. So I die cut this background panel die from Crafty Meraki out of some really deep burgundy cardstock. I really love the color, and because it's a stitched die, I like to adhere it with double-sided tape instead of liquid adhesive. The stitched detail on the back of the card is actually raised, and it makes it really hard to adhere this down, the texture of that panel on the back, with liquid glue. So that's why I use just some double-sided adhesive. Now for these flowers. I love these flowers so much. They are the Emma Flora die set, and they do include stems and these leaves as well. But I also die cut some leaves from another newly released floral die set, which was Iris. So I'm just mixing and matching these leaves. I don't really care which one goes with which flower, and I'm cutting them up anyway to make them a little bit smaller. Now, what I love to do with dies like this is stack them up. You know, I love my dimension, and it's easiest to achieve with die cuts if you just die cut a couple more layers out of thick white cardstock and layer them together instead of fussing around with tiny bits of foam tape or foam squares. So I die cut a bunch of these in some warm tone colors, and I also added 2 layers of thick white cardstock behind each of these flowers. For the leaves, I only added 1 extra layer of thick white cardstock. I only did that for the leaves because my colored cardstock is usually pretty flimsy, so I need at least 1 layer of thick white behind that to have it look nice on a card anyway. And I wouldn't have done it otherwise for the leaves because I usually like them to flare up a little bit, or I like to put them behind the flowers, and you don't want too much dimension behind the flowers if they're already dimensional. It makes things not only bulky, but it makes them hard to adhere down, the flowers on top of the dimensional leaves. So if I had thicker colored cardstock, I wouldn't have layered up the leaves. So I mass produced a bunch of these layered flowers. I die cut all of the pieces and layered them all at once, and then I can just use them for future cards, and it's really easy to pull them out later. Now they do cut out the floral centers, that's why you see a white dot in some of these. I didn't bother to save the dots, I had too many flowers to worry about, and usually when I have flower centers on die cut flowers, I put a pearl on top anyway, or a gem on top, just to finish it off nicely, because I just like the look of that. When I was fussing around with this, I was just watching a TV show, having some fun, but throughout this video I discovered that the easiest way to make this background was to just make clusters of leaves first on the card and then worry about where to place the flowers. So if I were to make this card again, which I won't because I have too many cards already, but I would just start with cutting up leaves in various different sizes and arranging them on the card, and then putting the flowers on top of them. It would have made this a whole lot easier to make. I wouldn't have had to fuss with the placement of the leaves once the flowers were already there. Even though they weren't adhered down, I wanted to keep them in place for some reason because I liked the pattern of the flowers I'd created. It was a whole thing, but yeah. If I were to make this card again, I would just start with the leaves and worry about the flowers later. I am propping the flowers up on a tiny foam square because that was just the easiest way to adhere these down on top of those leaves. You could have just glued them down completely, and that would have been easy too, but I like it when the petals of the flowers flare up a little bit or aren't adhered down at least. It makes them look more dimensional, so without adding any bulk. So I only adhered down the centers of the flowers, and that was easiest to do with a foam square. Now here come the pearls that I was talking about to do with the flower centers, but I went a little bit crazy and adhered them everywhere. These are the Crafty Meraki, Meraki Sparkle Ivory Opal gems, a long name, but these are the Ivory Opal color, and I really like them. They're off-white. They did release a white version too, and they're gorgeous too, but with these colors, with the warm tone of the colors, I just went with the not harsh white pearls. For a sentiment, I pulled out a stem set by Pink Fresh Studio, and I just stamped that onto some gold matte cardstock, and it's with Versamark ink, and I embossed it with Wow Bright White Superfine Embossing Powder. And it's from the Thankful for Friends stem set. I heat set that pretty carefully because I'm always worried when there's cardstock with a specialty finish like this. Usually it warps or the finish on top of it shrinks a little bit, and it has this really weird effect. But for some reason, this cardstock was really good with the heat tool, so I shouldn't worry too much next time. It was totally fine. I adhered that down onto some foam tape, and it was a little bit fussy because there is a flower underneath it, but I adhered this down before adhering the pearls because I just realized I wanted to add a sentiment after I finished placing all of the pearls on top of this card. And then I figured if I was going to add a sentiment banner, I didn't need to put pearls where I put the banner, so there was still time to change my mind on the pearl placement before I adhered the sentiment. I don't know, that sentence didn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. I then adhered them with Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, folded a matching envelope just out of some colored cardstock, some of the same colored cardstock that I cut some of the flowers out of, so it's a really soft pink, and that's the finished card. A really classy card, and I really like it with that gold sentiment banner and no frame. It's a miracle that I didn't use a frame on this anywhere, but I just thought I'd let the flowers shine. I hope you liked this card. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're down there, you can also check out the description because there is an Instagram hop going on today, and I hope you check it out because if you leave a comment on a stop on the hop, you can win a gift card of $25 for the Crafty Meraki store. Of course, the more comments you leave on each stop of the hop, the more chances you have at winning that gift card. So I hope you take your chance, and I hope you check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.